Some sounds trigger fear instantly. A growl, footsteps behind you, a knock at the door after midnight. But few sounds are worse than a human scream where no one should be. This story was shared by someone who says he and 3 friends heard screaming deep in the forest and made the mistake of trying to find where it came from. Welcome to Tales Beyond the Flame. It happened during a late summer camping trip. 4 friends in their early 20s, nothing extreme, nothing reckless. Just a weekend away from the city, they picked a remote forest reserve a few hours from home, popular enough to be safe, quiet enough to feel isolated. They arrived in the afternoon, set up tents in a designated clearing, cooked dinner over a fire pit, spent hours talking while the sun disappeared behind the trees. Everything felt normal. There were other campsites scattered further down the road, but no one close enough to hear clearly. By midnight, the forest had gone dark and cold. The fire was low. 2 of them had already gone into their tents. He and 1 other friend stayed awake feeding the last pieces of wood into the flames. That's when they heard it. A scream, far away, high, sharp, definitely human. It lasted only 2 seconds, then silence. Both of them froze. He waited for laughter, a voice, anything to explain it. Nothing came. One of the others unzipped his tent and asked what happened. They told him. He said it was probably another campsite messing around. That explanation lasted less than a minute, because the scream came again. Longer this time, closer, not playful, not drunken yelling, raw panic. The kind of scream people make when something is terribly wrong. Now everyone was awake. They stood around the fire listening. 1 friend wanted to ignore it. Another said someone could be hurt. A third said they should call emergency services. But there was no signal, not 1 bar. Then the scream came a 3rd time, closer still, and suddenly moving, not from 1 spot, from deeper in the trees to their left, then sharply to the right, as if whoever was screaming was running or being dragged. That decided it. They grabbed flashlights and started toward the sound. Looking back later, he says that was the dumbest decision any of them made that night. The forest swallowed light quickly. Their beams only reached a short distance through branches and trunks. Leaves cracked underfoot. Roots caught their boots. The campsite glow disappeared behind them within minutes. They called out, "Hello? Do you need help?" No answer, only the sound of their own breathing. Then another scream. Very close now, maybe 50 meters ahead. They ran toward it, burst through a line of brush, and entered a small clearing. Empty. No person. No movement. No sign anyone had been there. The screaming had stopped instantly. 1 friend cursed under his breath. Another turned in a full circle scanning the trees. That's when they noticed something strange. The clearing floor was covered in disturbed dirt. Not footprints, marks. Long grooves dragged in circles through the soil, as if something heavy had been pulled around and around the center. Then, from the darkness behind them, the scream came again, this time right at the edge of the clearing. They all spun around together, flashlights cutting across trees. Nothing there. But the sound had been close enough to feel in their chest. 1 friend yelled into the dark, "Who's there?" No response. Then a woman's voice answered from somewhere among the trees, softly, "Help me." It came from the same direction as the scream. He took 2 steps forward before another friend grabbed his arm. Something was wrong with the voice, not the words, the timing. There had been no breathing, no crying, no panic, just a clean, calm sentence immediately after screaming in terror. "Help me." It came again. Same tone, same volume. from farther back this time, as if it had moved without making a sound. They backed away slowly. Then another voice called from their right, one of their own names, perfectly imitated. They all stopped dead. No one had spoken. The name came again, then laughter, thin, dry, too high to be human. They ran. No plan, no direction, just away. Branches hit their faces. Lights shook wildly. Someone fell and got dragged back up. Behind them the screaming started again, now changing pitch rapidly. Woman, man, child. Then one of their own voices shouting for help. The campsite appeared ahead through trees, orange firelight still burning low. They burst into the clearing and dove for the nearest gear. One friend screamed that they had left someone behind. They counted. 1, 2, 3. Then panic. Only 3. The fourth flashlight beam was missing. They shouted his name. No answer. Then from the darkness beyond the trees came his voice. Guys, over here! Relief hit them for half a second. Then the same voice called again from a completely different direction. Guys! Then again. From behind the tents, all at once from multiple places, the same voice. Their missing friend stumbled into camp seconds later from the real trail entrance, covered in dirt, bleeding from one arm. He had fallen during the run and gotten separated. When he heard them calling, he followed the sound back. But he stopped when he realized something. They had been calling from every direction at once. No one slept that night. They stayed by the fire until sunrise. At first light, they packed everything and left. On the drive out, they passed a ranger station near the reserve entrance. They told the older ranger what happened. He listened quietly, then asked one question. When you heard screaming, did it sound like it wanted you to come closer? None of them answered. He nodded anyway, then said something none of them forgot. That wasn't screaming. He told them certain predators learn that people run toward human distress. Some use noise, some use imitation, and some sounds in the forest are not made by anything people have named correctly. They never camp there again. Years later, one of them sent a message to the group chat at 2:13 a.m. Just 3 words. I hear screaming. He lived alone. By the time they reached his house, he was gone. The back door was open, and the tree line behind his property was full of fresh footprints leading into the dark.